Welcome everyone to our haven, to our safe place, to our art grotto. Welcome back in the new year. I don't know how, but we survived 2019. I don't know how. You know when you survive something, you have no idea how you did it? Well, that's what's happened. And we are here. I don't know how we're alive, but there's smoke in the air but we're all here. There's actually physically smoke in the air all over the world right now. The world's on fire. Literally. Politics are on fire. Iraq is on fire. My home country got bombed. My birth country got bombed. I don't know how I feel about that. Some crazy shit's going down everywhere you look. Look internally, look externally. Shit's on fire, yo. But one thing stays the same. One thing is still beautiful. One thing is still untouched. One thing is still pure. And that is the pursuit of our passions, our education. Giving ourselves the self-respect enough to pursue our passions despite the chaos around us. I think there is no better example for how versatile we are as human beings and how amazing the human brain is. That despite all of this chaos, it's capable of compartmentalizing on its own and going back down, sitting on your desktop, using your tablet, and just painting a picture. And I think that's so pure and beautiful, and it should be kept alive as much as possible. Our meets every Tuesday and Thursday aren't just about art. They're pro bono. I don't really make money out of these. I do these because psychologically I don't know where I'd be without Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. They're more important to me than anything else that I do because they are keeping my passion alive even when my passion isn't there anymore. At least I have, this therapy group that we can go to where we talk about how to paint a picture. And I think that's beautiful. I have a couple of announcements to start off with, but let's talk a little bit about goals. So before I do the announcements, there's a little lag, so I have to wait for the chat to update and answer my question. So before I do announcements, I'm going to ask you guys, what are your New Year's resolutions? Let's talk about those a little bit. My New Year's resolution starts very small and gets very big. First, I need to be way more organized with my folders and my PSD titles. I can't keep chaotically naming them like shit. I can't keep having new folder 1, new folder 2, new folder 354. I need to start using more folders. It's organized. Organization at the atomic level means macro function. Or whatever. And I need to make sure that I do that. Because when our atoms aren't working, what happens? How about a cell? When it's not working, what happens? We fall apart. So even at the smallest little organization, if that's what we need to create a snowball effect and organize the way we think, and again, be compartmentalized as efficiently as possible so we know how to allocate resources to help us paint a nice picture despite the chaos in the world. And I think the way I can control the chaos in the world is by having more organized folders on my desktop. Cleaning out my downloads, cleaning out my document folders, cleaning out any extra crap. Every time I clean out my computer, I feel amazing. Clean my computer, suddenly I want to clean my desktop. Suddenly I want to clean my office. Suddenly my house is sparkling clean, and my brain is a reflection of that. So yeah, be more organized. How about you guys? But to get into those announcements, Patreon. So if you guys want to be, if you guys want to ensure the longevity of this channel, you don't have to join. First of all, you don't have to be a patron to join our Reddit. Go join our Reddit. It's free. It's absolutely free, 100% free. You can upload your work. You get critiqued, period. If you want to support my channel, you don't have to support the channel with like $20 a month or more. You don't have to support it with even $5. Just $1 a month. If all of us joined as a $1 patron, this channel would really, really keep growing. It would stay very strong despite the changes on YouTube. The changes of YouTube. YouTube is constantly threatening the growth of my channel. and it has been impossible to hit the 100K mark. It has been years. It seems like the channel has deliberately been ignored, not recommended, because my videos are too long and they're not monetized easily. But I'm not going to shrink the length of my videos because I don't want to deter the quality of my videos and my teaching. Every lecture in university is an hour long or more, and that's my lesson style, that's my teaching style. So if you guys want to support this channel and make it a little bit more independent outside of YouTube, you can do so by joining as a $1 patron. Only $1. That's $12 a year. And it's so far, so many of you have joined, and I appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who answered the call. Thank you for dealing with the checkout. I know it's annoying getting out your card and putting everything in. If you don't feel like doing that, I completely understand. But for those who feel like it, for those who are used to that online shopping experience annoyingness, and you feel like pulling out your card, do so, and you can join as a $1 patron. And help, keep this channel alive. I myself have not been of the best health, and I feel like I've been drowning a little bit. So that's one of my New Year's resolutions, is to give myself a little bit more of a break, and that definitely helps me when I feel the channel is safe, despite me being a little bit absent from online community. I used to be very, very active, but sitting on my computer desk for longer than I have to outside of class is physically painful for me, like actually hurts my back. So I've tried to find other ways to be creative, and I've learned to live with the pain a little bit and manage it a little bit better. But when I feel like this, it's given me so much peace of mind. For those of you who have already checked in to Patreon, it means the world. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for everyone who answered the call all the way back from October when I started announcing it. My goal is to just get 1,000 patrons. If it's 1,000 $1 patrons, that's okay, but that's just enough to keep this channel very safe from changes on YouTube, from changes everywhere else. And for everyone here who's present, who feels like going through that, I invite you to join us on Patreon as a $1 patron. Other announcements: challenges are coming, and they will shake the earth. I'm sorry about saying that because I know Puerto Rico is going through earthquakes. Oh man, there's so many eggshells to walk around, but these challenges are going to be very, very fun. They're going to be environment based. We have been doing a lot of character design, and it's time to start creating worlds and creating environments, talking about weather, talking about depth, talking about light, sunlight, horizon lines. It is absolutely time to start talking about cinema and framing. And I cannot wait to assign the new assignment. It's going to be fun. It's going to be environment only. And then we have Portia Studio. It is still 50% off. I have not taken down the sale for a very big reason, because I have just not been very active online. So I felt like, because I haven't done many streams, I haven't done much promotion for the sale, I'm just going to keep it online, net in as many people as who need it before I take it back down. It will go down at the end of January. I'll make some more announcements, but I know typically January is where people start doing the whole New Year's resolutions thing. So if you are interested in getting a really, really powerful referencing engine to help you with your New Year's resolutions, Portrait Studio is still 50% off. And the update will go to you for free. The update is free for life, one-time buy. If you're having issues loading it, if you have not turned off your antivirus, please do so when you download it. It's just a temporary turn off. I don't even know who uses antiviruses anymore, but some people are just willy-nilly online. If you're having trouble, abudhar@live.com is the email. He replies every single day, about like 30 emails a day. He replies to them all a day. He never skips an email. He gets them all. There's no filtering, nothing like that. Make sure you type out your email perfectly on the checkout page, or the form submission on the website. Let's talk about New Year's resolutions. So, okay, we're going to be organized in 2020. Absolutely. Beautiful words said during such hard times. Thank you, Annie. Resolution 1, to take my art to the next level through actual tutoring as I've never had a teacher before. Resolution 2, to move into my own home. You can do it, A Gamer Draws. My New Year's resolution is to draw more and have a visible improvement by the end of the year. Form studies, homie. Form studies, and get more advanced as you go along the form studies. Start basic shapes, perfect your radial shading, perfect your edges, perfect your transfer from lines, And it will actually be a visible improvement, because no lines means light presence. Any light presence outside of lines is already an improvement that's visible. So just tracking that word visible, skip your lines, jump straight into perfecting edges and radial shading. Blend better. Blending is a lot harder than it looks like, because it's not gradual when it comes to my classes. It's radial, meaning that it climbs along a volume. My new art schedule with a form study every day plus 14-day challenge later on. No, get started on the 14-day challenge now. What momentum are you looking for, Natsu-shan? Natsue-shan. Get on it now. Do your 14-day challenge now. Push yourself. It's going to hurt. The first day of the 14-day challenge is going to suck. But it's going to get easier as you go along. It's going to get much better. You want to get your mistakes out of the way as soon as possible. There's no better time to start it than right now. The first month of the year is filled with its own, because everybody has this like energy. That's when you can actually ride real energy coming out of everyone's attitude. Wherever you go, people are talking about change. There's no other month in the year where that happens. So get on it right now. I want to start a 14-day challenge. Do it. Study the fundamentals, continue to eat well and exercise, and try to eat vegan food once a week. My goal for 2020 is getting back to myself, finding my love in my art and medicine again. I lost it over the past year. Hell yes, I have done that exact same thing, and I'm trying to do that exact same thing. Get back to driving again and buy a car, get a full-time job, take art education more seriously. Solid goals, Kyle. I memorized my card info, makes online shopping convenient and dangerous. Yeah. Environment design. I'm so glad I got Portrait Studio. It's so helpful and fantastic. Thank you, Shane. Thank you for the support. I can't recommend Portrait Studio enough. It's fabulous and amazing for form study. Thank you, Fira. I was so fast at responding at emails. It's ridiculous. Yes, he's just right on it. He was just been sick. If you haven't had an email, he's been actually very, very sick. He had a fever. He was a sick little boy. But he's doing much better now. It's so weird. He got a fever and he was limping. Has anyone heard of that? Anybody at all? Why was he limping? Anyway, God forbid anything happens. I guess my resolution is going to be daily form studies. I think we can forgive you for being sick. I want to be more consistent with my art and improve. Also do more form studies. Excellent goals. Real form studies are for the poor and the rich. They are for the old and the young. There is no time limit, and there is no minimum, and there is no maximum on form studies. They are a beautiful way to celebrate 3D world matter. They are a beautiful way to study matter. Write that back to me. When you have no subject, when you have no object, even when you have no passion, study some folds, study some edges. It's one solid way to start building a skill without the confusion of the world. We're literally just stripping the universe of anything but matter. And I think that's, that makes no sense. But in the world of art, it makes a lot of sense. I want to finally put together my portfolio and start doing commissions. I think you can do it. We've all seen your art, Finn. It is fantabulous. Finn is the one who won the Ancient Weapon Design Challenge a couple years back. And his art is amazing. So you guys better keep him accountable on that portfolio. Everyone here has heard this. You guys better witness this. All right, let's get started on today's critique hour. I have chosen one particular piece to look at today. I think it's a good piece to move into the new year. I will not be looking at any more challenge submissions. Y'all had a deadline. So, not looking at them after the deadline is an incentive to make it to the deadline. I have no idea where my pen is. There it is. But let's just recap on how to join the community. Istebrak.com, Reddit icon, join the community. Make sure you submit your work, follow the rules. Announcements are on the top of the community. Portrait Studio is on sale right there. If you want to buy Portrait Studio, Istebrak.com store tab. If you want to join on Patreon, just click here. Any challenges that are submitted to the community will be posted up here. Community tab on my website is outdated. That needs some work. That's it. It's not outdated with the 14-day challenge Q&A, so if you have no idea what's going on, you just have to scroll down to the FAQ. FAQ and Q&A for 14-day challenge is right here. This is not outdated. It's just that these are old resource packs from old challenges. If you guys still want to do them, go ahead. But a lot of challenges have happened since, and this is not updated regularly. A lot of shit to do. Well, I'll try to get on that. I'll try to add it to my my resolutions. And that's it. Let's get started on today's critique. So, what the heck is going on? Tile canvas? No, absolutely not. A tile canvas is ridiculous because what are you going to use it for? A CD cover? Nobody uses CDs anymore. What are you going to do? Have this tile in your bathroom repeated 700 times? Plank tiles are trending. There's no more flat circular tiles anymore. Nobody uses those. That's so 2000 and late. Nobody does that anymore, okay? So stop using freaking tiles as composition starters because there's no decent composition that works in a tile that is asymmetrical and interesting. Please stop using tile canvases. Tile canvas just means a perfect square. Start using rectangular or horizontal. I recommend rectangular because she's looking up, and when there's an empty space for the arrow to travel in, it creates more line of sight for us to enjoy. This means that the background's got to be adjusted a little bit. Lots of issues, lots of little issues. The first and most important issue is the fact that you've got zero light environment, meaning the colors you've chosen, the lighting on the character, the background, and any other object is not under the same light source, which is actually kind of bad. I mean, very bad. We're trying to represent a light environment that makes the character believable. You may think, oh, well, it's not the character. Why do I have to paint it? Why do I have to give a shit about it? You have to care about it because the universe in which the character exists is just as important as the character in the painting. So you can't skip that. So what is a light environment? You need to do some form studies because light environment is both in the shade you use in the background, how light and dark it is, as well as the colors you're using, as the wash, the temperature, the time of day, the weather, overcast, sunny, different colors exist in this light environment. So what I'm going to try to do is separate her from her background, which is going to be a really, really annoying, crazy thing. Oy, oy, oy. Also, another big change in my life is some crazy stuff is happening where I live, how I live. So I might buy a house soon, which is not at all what I wanted to do. This soon anyway, but I'm nearly 30. I mean, it's fucking time to buy a house, Istebrak. But, you know, it's just stressful. It's just stressful is really the word I'm looking for here. Because I'm trying to, you know, get back into art and focus on running the classes, focus on giving it my all and invest as much of my passion into classes. And it feels like the upcoming months are going to be all to do with renovation and mortgage and papers. And I just wanted to focus on classes. I wanted to focus on the community. I wanted to focus on making the community better, more fun. Turn it into a theme park, you know? But it seems like all my time has been accounted for already, and it's going to be hard for me to do that. So I'm scared. I don't like people looking at my bank account. I don't like people looking at my credit. It's just something why are you so privy to all my private information? But, you know, that's my personal struggle at the moment, and it's hard finding peace of mind in all of that. So what I'm going to do is decide on a light environment. It's going to be like a midday type of sunlight, and I'm going to choose something a bit more. I'm just going to move the canvas around. I want her to be the darkest character in the environment. And I want to choose a color that's easy to work with. She's got the dorkiest smile, which is not working. Nope. No. When someone is focusing, when someone is aiming, when was the last time you looked like this while aiming at something, unless you're playing like you were using a water gun or something. I mean, last time I looked like this while shooting something, I was using a water gun. Last summer. So I don't imagine, I mean, League alone makes me tense my eyebrows so much. This expression does not represent someone who is a skilled archer. Kind of represents a child with a toy than a skilled archer. So I'm going to have to adjust that. And in order to do that, I have to first decide on how the light environment is affecting. So I've decided it's a foggy scene. Before I get into expressions, I've decided that this is a foggy scene. I'm going to use darken to kind of invest her into her environment. And I'm just going to use a blue, something like this blue, really on top of the lower half of the canvas, using some of that environment color on the lower half of the canvas just to show the fog. She seems like she's hunting, and I'm going to get color mode, and just try to balance all the colors to fit in this environment. But she should also be a little bit darker all around. Alright, so automatically by using atmospheric perspective on the lower half, some kind of environment marker, maybe the dew of the morning or something like that, a lighter background that feels a little less like, you know, like dark and more light by a little. And then we've got the presence of a light that's needed. I'm going to use a white, kind of like daybreak, but a bit more overcast daybreak, and I'm just going to use that on the upper half of everything as if the light has only just broken. And then you can decide on the light environment you want, but I'm going to make it gradually shifting down. And I'm going to have to do some color correction, but basically she's still under the shadow of the horizon, and the light is just only breaking the top half. So it seems like I'm going to have to use some kind of dodge or color dodge possibly, and literally just do something. Oh, this is crazy, but I'm just trying to map it for you. Just only the upper half most. You see that? So I'm going to try to find a bit more of a reasonable movement of the light towards the very tippy tops, and then get darken and just cast that shadow towards the upper half. And I just want to warm up these values. I don't want them cool. So what I could do is duplicate the layer, warm up the upper layer just like that, saturate and warm, and then just delete at the second half of that. Unlock the layer, it's unlocked, and just delete as the layer gets cooler, just like that. So you see how we have a warm upper half where the sun is hitting, and a cool lower half where the sun is not. And we can keep adjusting this until it feels right. I just want to know when I'm at orange. That looks more like green the darker I go. The bow looks green, but she looks warm. I like where she is right now. I don't like excuse me. It's okay. I'm the teacher. I can make guttural sounds. It's part of my charm. And then the bow is back to being a little more warm that way. Okay, and then I need to respect my shapes, my core shadows. So the far half of everything gets shadow. This is all because we decided that the sun is important in the world. You know, that's what scientists look for. They look for a planet and the sun nearby to warm it up. It's just part of life. You know, we need a sun to warm up a planet so that life can thrive. I don't know why you guys think you don't need suns in your art, but you know, now you're gonna do it. Now you're gonna learn. Expression. This eyebrow. She's looking up. She's looking at the sky. I mean, even if it's an overcast day, if it's midday or sunrise, you look up, you're gonna squint. So I don't know why she has like no expression, but we're gonna fix that. Even this smile with this eyebrow has done so much for her character. You see that? So that's what we're doing here. Is we're trying to reinforce the action and see how much we can pull off with the expression to carry the story through. She seems like she's, you know, having fun, so we'll keep the smile. It's not going to be an evil expression because it's not a sinister smile. She's squinting. This eye is also squinting. We need to show how much the lower eyelid had to travel. Shadow is still on the lower half. And then this dorky little smile. needs to be fixed and placed back into perspective. So this means that we need to either get rid of her. I would get rid of her smile, because I feel like my female heroines, they need their like sternness. They need to be bad bitches. It's okay. I can say bitches now because I've designated my channel as not safe for kids. So anyway, so what we're doing is pushing the far part of the mouth back into the face because we're in perspective. And we can keep that smile dorky. We can keep the nose a button. You know, she doesn't have to look like a stern teacher, professor lady. She just looks like Merida. But when you have a, you know, no, I mean, I'm going to have to do it with painting. When you have less smile, more expression at the eyebrows, you show more, a little, she's too distracted to smile, but there is a smile of enjoyment nonetheless. And I'm going to keep that just there. Okay. So everything else is just messy. The background, you have some indication of like some kind of like foliage. I'm just going to blur that because filter, blur, Gaussian blur, because we really don't need all that much indication. If the camera's pointing up, what we do need is a sky that represents a little bit more of the sunrise. And so if it's a sunrise, it starts off as blue, slowly moves into the oranges, and then finally we get the yellows. So I'm doing like a bit of a gradient. We don't see enough of the sky to get a proper gradient, but just enough of that light environment is in the air to suggest that it is morning time. And I'm going to decide on where that cast shadow really happens. I just need that blue in there. And I'm just going to, oop, that's where it stops, you know? It just barely breaks the shadow of the environment. And if you're like, oh, Istebrak, I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. I don't know when to make a shadow blur and when, I mean, stop, and when to do this and when to do that. That's okay. You don't have to know. You don't have to know every single quality of movement in an object. You don't have to know as much as I do. But you have to at least look at a reference so that you can get it, you know? And if you're not looking at a reference, you don't have a visual library for what happens in the environment and how shadows happen, and I really don't know, you know, where you're going to get this information. A genie isn't going to come out of nowhere and provide you with this information for free. So I really don't know where the hell you're going to get it. Get a reference. If you're not big-brained like me, just get a reference. All right. And then we are creating a depth shift in the cape, which is more distance between us and the camera than the body. So I want to throw the cape in some kind of atmospheric shift. I want to show that it's a little bit transparent, translucent. And I just need to edge out these. A little bit better. Oopsie. Oops. All right, and then we've got the rest of this. This is all detail. This is all important. We can't, I'm not use the wrong fucking, we can't get rid of this detail. We can't lose this detail. Okay, so again, we zoom out. So what's the value of zooming out? Sorry, I'm not looking at the comment section. I really need to focus on this. What's the value of zooming out? Why is that important? I'm just going to get that dark color again and just try to create some depth between us and the cape. And the cape, because it's in the distance, has a new quality to it, a blur quality. So again, we're creating lots of depth with very little effort, just basic tools that you just write on a list, slap it on your desktop. There's also a really awkward ass tangent happening here with the bow. Just put a little detail or something to help break that awkward tangent. I don't know why we need it, but you added it. You never need a tangent really unless you're trying to piss people off. And then we have really awkward movement in the cape. Which I can just end off right before that. No, that's just too awkward. And then now you have, see, I get this question a lot, and raise your hand if you, zooming out gives you a better read of the painting as a whole. Excellent. All freaking facets of this painting can be assessed from a distance. That's why we don't see God, because he's constantly zoomed out. That's how he controls everything. No, that's not true. Okay, so what we need to talk about right now is the ever floating question, Istebrak, how do I know which values to use and when? How do I know what color to use for the shirt? What shadow color to use for the shirt? How do I know what to use for the leg? What to do here? What to do there? You do by, and the answer to that question is the light environment. Okay, that's how you know what value to use when and how much shadow to add where and what time to, what time to get up in the morning. It's all decided by the light environment. I'm just going to make a random little cavity here just to show where the space in between her legs is. I don't think she's wearing MC Hammer pants. I think there's a bit of more agility in her motion, so she's wearing very loose clothing. Okay, so you do that by the light environment. That's how you decide on all this stuff. So right now, her hair, too dark in the light regions because there's just enough light to not allow certain shadows to drop below a point. And sometimes we get a little bit of a light just traveling on the edges, just a little, just like that. Yeah, the light is coming from top right, but we can't, take some creative license. Now I'm just going to clean up some edges. And look what we just did. We created a world around this character. And that's what we're going to be doing in the upcoming challenges. We're going to be doing a lot of environment talk, depth talk. We need to spend time on this. Y'all are really bad with environments. You guys don't know what you're doing. I had the funniest conversation with today, but I don't know if I can talk about it. It's unprofessional to talk about it, but it insulted me. But maybe one day I'll talk about it in after hours. But it had to do with, training. It had to do with how much you can measure someone's skill. And honestly, if you just get your fundamentals right, you don't need art school. Art school is not going to teach you fundamentals most of the time. Ateliers maybe, hands-on studios, yeah, possibly. You learn as you work. But then how do you get into the studios? So when it comes to learning all these fundamentals, the only way to do it, obviously now, as because you have to get a job to learn them on site, is through practice. So someone's mileage is way more telling of what they know than, let's say, a degree. And that's what came into question today, my degrees or lack thereof in art. And it definitely pissed me off, but a sign of a student that is desperate for change is a student that is also desperate enough to think that the only way to get better is by a certain formula or a certain magic trick or paying more or getting a certain thing. They never account for the fact that it's mileage. So discrediting my mileage as a teacher has discredited the fact, has helped them forgive themselves of the fact that they just never really put the work in. They want someone else who has a degree to help ensure their insecurity. And that's what came into question today, that I don't have a degree in art, that I never did training in a school. And I'm sorry, that's useless. It's absolutely useless. It doesn't make you draw better. It wastes your time. And that is the truth. It's the age of the truth. It's the age of the purge. The world is on fire. Let's speak the truth before we all go to hell. And that's the truth. That's the honest truth. Is if you're not going to put in the mileage, you're never going to get good. And nobody's going to help you. There's no degree on this earth that'll make you draw better. Period. Not anyone's degree or your own. And the only way you get better at something is by repetition and lack of laziness. So just by that conversation I had with that student, I realized that, they were a lazy person. They were a student who possibly needed someone else to do all the work for them. They weren't someone who was ready for, to respect a teacher, to sit down and take notes. They wanted to diagnose themselves. They wanted to fix their own problems their way. Don't be like that student. Be smarter. Be aware that all the work is up to you, and have respect for the amount of work ahead. I'm going to make the little string here a little bit more bright because it's catching all that light, and I just love that little glimmer. I'm going to make a bit more of a gradient moving down. And there we have it. We have a nice, strong light environment. And get this, you can make the background a little bit more bright, a little bit more saturated, just to help the painting along. I am not getting a lot out of this expression. I feel like the expression, for me, is too dorky. Remember, I'm the artist behind the critique, but you're the artist behind the story. You can do whatever you want. But because I want to move the painting a little bit somewhere else, I'm going to keep a little bit more of a smile, and let's just take a moment. 2020, year of change. Let's call it the purge year, where we purge sadness and replace it with skill. There's nothing wrong with taking classes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's not going to be a replacement for your mileage. If you're going to take classes and do the mileage and do the work and do your stuff on the side and watch Critique Hour and submit stuff to Reddit and get constant critiques, you're going to get good, and you're not going to be anywhere near your skill level today in 3 months if that's how you work. But the student that was applying, or the person that was applying, was someone who was looking for someone to do all the work for them. And that was ridiculous. I've never heard of that level of ignorance before going in. And you see different things every single day. But that's what I'm saying, is that you have to do the work, and you have to be present. You have to be present, you guys. You have to be ready for the fact that you're going to have to change who you are to get good at art. Mind blown moment. You're going to have to change a lot of how you think, the way you sleep, the way you eat, to be a better artist. If you think you're gonna get good and change nothing about your bad personality traits, you need to rethink your New Year's resolutions and add on the list, change myself. If I want my art to change, I have to change myself. The fact that I make my bed every morning is why I drive the car I drive. The fact that, and I'm not trying to, flex or show off, I'm serious. If I never made my bed 6 years ago, I used to be the dirtiest piece of shit. I used to be an inmate. I had no God. I was so messy all the time. I didn't care. I didn't give a shit who was who. It was like all of the audacity to be messy and all of the Iraqi cockiness to not care and not, I'd never cleaned anything. 8 years ago, 10 years ago, early 20s. Now, I cannot think, I cannot breathe until my bed is clean. My bed is made every morning, as if I'm some sort of army, as if I joined the army or something, as if I'm gonna like get bad marks unless I make my bed. And I'm not saying you have to be a type A personality. I'm saying you have to be aware that you have to change parts of yourself. So I had to change my discipline. I had no discipline. Every day was something. I joined the gym, I quit in a month. I did this, I quit in a month. I never stuck to anything. And as soon as I started going to the gym every day, as soon as I started working out, as soon as I started being more clean, as soon as I started organizing myself, and even today in this New Year's resolution, just to be organized with my folders, it was just havoc. I just couldn't find anything I was looking for. And I never backed anything up. And I realize now that that's caused me stress today. It's shrunk my bank account today to not be more organized with my folders. That's a massive change. So if you're not ready to change yourself, your art won't change. If I want to change my art, I first must change myself. Write that back to me. I'm sorry if this is not what you want to hear. The medicine doesn't always taste good. You want to know what tastes good? Alcohol. And that's your number one way to have a lifetime sentence in jail. So I'm just trying to create perspectives here. I'm building spectrums. And it's New Year's resolution time. It's do or die time. It's important for us to do this. But yeah, let's talk about that ridiculous little line you had that is like, I don't know where you learned it. Cartoon Network. I don't know who taught you this. Please don't do it anymore. What is this? If you want to invest the light environment into your world, please get rid of that cartoon lip line. It's overrated. It's crap. It's just my opinion of it. It's just boomer animation. As I said before. I'm sorry. It's just a meme. I'm not trying to offend anyone. But it's just old age animation, and it's outdated. It's like wood paneling in a room, like on the walls. It's outdated. So please stop using it. It's not doing much for your painting. A little radial shade just over here is going to do more to help us believe this mouth is really smiling. Okay? It's so outdated. It's so unnecessary. It's so sorry for the lack of, it's not like I have a lack of words in this like loquacious mind, but it's just ugly. So let's get rid of it. Nice core shadow on the lower lip. Careful with that tooth gap. It doesn't have to be that big. This is the kind of tooth gap size I would use on an ogre. On a protagonist, I would make it a slightly lighter value. Anyways, teeth are supposed to be under-rendered and blurred. They're not supposed to be more visible than the lip. Alright, so I'm just going to blur that a little bit. And we have just a bit more of a visible change here. Okay, and then I'm just going to, it's volume. That's what we're pursuing. We chase volume. Wherever it is, let's keep it. We're trying to catch volume with our little butterfly net. We don't want to lose volume. I'm just going to bring in some stylistic choices. Maybe the white of her hair is just gleaming and glistening so much. She's got white hair. Why does it look like yarn? And that's to do with the fact that you're using the wrong brush, you're over-rendering, you're hover-rendering, you're over-representing texture, you don't really have edges, and none of these curls have a core shadow. I mean, you're just doing whatever you want here. You have the same value traveling for such a long amount of space, for such a long amount of time. It does a little bump inward, so typically this little curl should have had a shadow of this curl, which is catching light. That alone is doing a lot for the painting. I mean, for that section of the hair. And then after that, you cast some shadows. I'll cast a shadow there. Throw a half shadow here on this curl. I mean, it's basic stuff, but a lot of students take form studies for granted. So it's not as basic as all that, unfortunately. A lot of students have no respect for form studies, which is why they don't know where the hell to put a core shadow. New Year's resolution, do more form studies. And everyone who mentioned a form study in their New Year's resolutions, congratulations on that. You guys are going to change your art forever. Everything is about to change as you know it. You're about to change yourselves. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing else really to add to that. Do some form studies. I haven't made a case yet. I hope I will make one by the end of the painting and show you the before and after. But yeah, if my art, if my skill, if my teaching is not classical enough for you guys, I mean, it's not you guys, but that one particular person that pissed me off and I'm all like offended and my pride is offended. You know, if I'm not qualified enough, please, you know, you don't have to watch this channel. There are other channels to watch, other people to feel like you're safe in their hands. But I'm not cocky about a lot of stuff in my life, but I am cocky about my teaching skill. And I was born to teach. This is what God decided I will do on this earth. And I am a hell of a good teacher because I was once a really stubborn ass student. And I know how to talk to students and I know what to say to completely counter any pre-existing cockiness that a student might have, because I was there and there was no one more cocky than I used to be. You can believe that very easily, I'm sure. So believe me when I tell you, it takes you nowhere. And you have to learn how to trust the teacher. And a good teacher is someone who puts your concerns above theirs. A good teacher is someone, I mean, for that person who is looking for a teacher, a better teacher than me, a good teacher is someone who will think like you do and will say the things that you need to hear, whether or not you want to hear them. Need to hear. And what we need is not always the thing we want. And, well, that's why life is hard. You know, learning to accept that what we need is difficult compared to what we want, which might look easy, but we're not zoomed out enough to understand that. And we make a lot of decisions based off our ignorance. So I'm bringing in some really mild volume along the nose, and then her nose seems crushed, so I'm gonna just completely erase that up. And give the nose a little bit more bridge strength because it just seems caved in. And that's just because the perspective would give us more of a strong presence in the nose. And what do? Object facing the light, the top half of that object. Yeah, but I hope you guys think that I am qualified enough to teach you guys. I hope that it's not, I'm still a student. I'll always be a student. I make mistakes. I look at my paint overs from 6 months ago and I'm like, how did I not change that? How did I not change that? I'm constantly improving, I hope. And I'm not immune to critique. I'm not immune to, you know, change. But I hope in some way I am qualified enough to at least run this critique hour, show you guys some basic fundamentals, which are maybe basic, but are going to change your portfolios forever, get you guys, you know, livelihood and make your pockets heavier. But it's always a bit of a, you know, a therapy group for me too to do this class because it reasserts my faith in my skills, and I hope that, you know, going in I've improved and have enough skill to make a case for all of these fundamentals. I hope I'm a good voice box for them is what I'm saying. Really just looking for compliments right now. Joking. Okay, so I feel like a scolded kid every time I show up, but damn, you have changed how I view art. Does the centipede help her reload? I don't know what that's in results to. Results speak for themselves. The one downvote is the person who wanted you to hold their hand, make them better artists instead of doing the work themselves. Keep the core shadows of hair in mind. Are you guys ready for this before and after? So really quickly before I do that, I'm going to... I love how the person who did that is attending my class. Excuse me? The person who said that I'm not qualified enough to teach them was currently present in the chat. If I'm not qualified, why did you join Critique Hour? I'm not following here. Why would you join Critique Hour if I'm not qualified? If you made a point to say I am not qualified enough to teach you because I have no classical training in charcoal? What? And you're wondering how that is offensive. Interesting. Let us take a look at that before and after. Before I do though, here's some really cool framing tricks. Works anywhere. Panels, framing of a book cover. Are you guys ready for this? We're going to go to darken mode. We're going to choose that ambient blue, and we're just going to throw a shadow on the lower half of the canvas to help make it feel like the environment on this lower half is darker. And this is just a degree enough that we're seeing a change in the gradient as we zoom out of the painting. And just in the background here. I don't get it. Why did you join the class? I'm not qualified. I don't get it. Why would you join the class if I'm not qualified enough to teach you? You waste my time. You ask me a bunch of questions. I take time to answer your questions, and then at the end of the questions, you tell me I'm not qualified enough to teach you, and then you join Critique Hour. All right, so now we have an environment. Now we have a world within which the character exists. Now we have a shadow. And I'm just going to that yellow. I'm just going to shift some white in there. That's just the sun breaking through. Because yes, we have more warmth as the sun moves in, but it is still a white yellow that we're talking about. And so some of that should really help. All right, and I'm just going to lower this down a degree or two. It's just for a small gradient change towards the lower half of the canvas. All right. What's the peak concurrent at the moment of viewers? I'm just wondering, my first time back, what does it look like? Okay, so the camera's pointing up at the sky. You can go ahead and bring in some kind of, you know, blue shift drop to represent trees. But yeah, it's definitely a change in the light environment. So let's recap. What is a light environment? He's not qualified enough to close the Chrome tab. Lock transparency. I'm not using masks. He's present just because it's free. Is it time to fix the bowstring to fit the back notch of the arrow? I guess they're just like catching a certain animated point. What I believe you should do is multiply that arrow a number of times, decrease the opacity, filter, blur, Gaussian, I mean you can do Gaussian blur, but I want motion blur. Filter, blur, motion blur. Just like that. And then it's just to show the new position of the arrow and where it was before. Right, just like that. And you're going to have to lower the opacity of the other arrow underneath. I'm just going to go ahead and blur that. So at this point, it should fix that weird, you know, misaligned arrow to string. And we're going to do the same thing with the string. We're going to, this is one of the first changes I wanted to do, but it's so cosmetic, I wanted to wait. I feel like it's not really working. You know, like, woo! No, this is a little bit better. And then we have, I mean, I'm not the best at all this shit, but let's just see what happens. And then we have, what's the width on that? 0.5 should work nicely. Let's get a white and just run that down. Rasterize. So, how do I make it super thin? One pix. Stroke. Fill. I just want it really small. I think the canvas is so small that, you know, it's not going to. So what I'm going to do is just get brush and shrink the brush down. There we go. Shrink it down. Make a straight line. And, woo, stupid ass Photoshop. What was that sound I just made? And just create like a little bit of a vibration in the, you know, it's kind of out of practice over here. Should have just, I mean, a, you know, multi-point vibration should be okay. Filter, blur, motion blur, and we're just lowering. It's just gonna thicken the line, isn't it? Yeah, I need some time to create many of them so that it's not thickened. And it's just many, and I have to keep redrawing the same line over and over again, just so that it looks like it's vibrating. Do you see what I'm saying? And I have to, you know, like draw multiple lines like that, and they're all blurring to make it look like it's going zzz, you know. I'm sorry about that. No, sorry about that noise. Blur, Gaussian blur. I think Gaussian blur should work. It's just for a quick representation of it. I'm not crazy about my depiction of it, but it's just so that you guys know this is something you can do. Oh. And then I'm going to delete the lower pieces, oopsie, of that string, just so that it looks like it's vibrating along the center. Okay, I recommend some detail on the, I'm just going to put that a little bit closer. I recommend some detail on the bow because it's catching the light directly. And let us do the before and after. So I'm just going to flatten it and get class wrapped up. So, before, crop. So before it made no sense. Why is the background so dark? If it's nighttime, why isn't everything under the same color wash? If it's nighttime and everything that is under supposedly the same color wash, why do we have colors that only can be bright in daytime, such as the pink of the ribbon and the white of the hair? Makes no sense. Now it has an environment. I think I'm using all of the colors from the God of War poster, if I'm not mistaken. And I am, you know, I've balanced everything out so there is a light environment. There is a point where the light is coming from. There is a world around the character, and the character looks so much more immersive. She's got the squint. She's got a glimmer in her eyes. You can feel the warmth of the sunset, and that's all we're asking for. Okay, just a little bit more environment, a little bit more respect, and you don't have to have all these boring-ass crayon basic colors. They're not more important than the story you're telling, what you're depicting. What is the story you're telling? You're telling me that the character is more important than their own story? That makes no sense. The story is part of the character. If you want us to believe the character is woke up in the middle of the, you know, early in the morning before the sun even came up, and then the you know, the sun just coming up, it's just coming up, and she saw a bird and she's just shooting the bird, and she looks concentrated. This is her favorite thing to do. Her mom is about to marry her to 3 weird boys. You know, something like that. I don't know. I'm just copying the story. But, you know, that's what I feel. I feel like I want to know who this character is. I'm just like, who the fuck is that? What's her story? It looks more cool that way. You know, before, it kind of is like, oh, the character is important. The color is just here for the ride. The color is just here with its thumb up its ass. It's not really here to do anything for the story. I'm just coloring it to make it look good. Maybe get 5 more views on my ArtStation page. I'm sorry I'm roasting so ruthlessly. That's all your colors were doing. Maybe on a good day, getting you 5 more views on ArtStation. You want 1,000 more views on ArtStation? You want 10,000 more views on ArtStation? If that's even a proportionate number, create a space. Create volume. Frame it. Point a camera at the character. Paint the atmosphere. Paint the air. Paint the early fog of the morning. balance your colors under the same light environment. The sun barely came up, so we have nighttime values fighting against daybreak. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay. All right, any questions at all? I like the new lighting. Maybe it would also look good if to add a bit of vegetation behind her. I don't have time for that at the moment. The camera is pointing down up. I don't feel like we'd see a lot of vegetation. The trees would not be here unless they're massive, humongous trees. The trees would be somewhere down here. So if you want to add some mild vegetation, go ahead. You want to add some feathers for the bird that she just killed. That's cool storytelling. Maybe a couple feathers here and there. She just shot the bird. She's definitely not fighting a monster or a mecha T-Rex like in that one game. That's really cool. So yeah, it's I think that keeping the trees low keeps the breathing room of the light environment open and promotes this upward movement. Like she's shooting up. We have this space. Wherever she's looking, we have space enough to see. Imagine the canvas was cropped like down here. What? I feel like this ceiling is about to fall over my head. And when we have this, we feel, oh, we can breathe. And we can see all that space above the character. All right, so if we go to the characters, move the fold of the cloth on the character's right arm. I'm not going to change any more things. The character, the artist can adjust things thereafter. Istebrak of war. I mean, the bow and arrow length is irrelevant right now because respecting the light environment is what makes this believable and driven. Find some references if you don't know bow arrow anatomy. I mean, why is it on the high? Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is easily correctable. You just gotta zoop. Making these sound effects can also help. Zoop. Okay, there we go. The weirdest looking arrow, bow and arrow you've ever seen. But that is typically what everyone's saying to you right now is that you have, the ratio is really off. You've got like a little tuft of hair at the top and a big belly for the bow and arrow. Should be the opposite if we're in perspective and this is the part of the bow that's far away from us. Is what everybody's saying. Just to explain it to the artist. Horizon Zero Dawn, thank you. Any questions at all in your opinion? Which fundamentals would best be focused on first or just practice all simultaneously? Zhang Li Wu, the fundamentals that are most important is knowing when to bring in edges and what values to use in light. And you're basically, if you made a open room, light is coming in, you have a cube and half the cube is in light, that's a good form study equivalent of what you had to experience here today. Did you guys see how zoomed out I was when I added that light at the top of the painting? I was pretty zoomed out. So I'm still thinking about the cube and light with half light as the dawn breaks. Just break it down into its most basic version, and that's the fundamental respective to it. I mentioned all of the fundamentals we need to do today. Okay, none can stand against the English longbow. Thank you for this critique. This was very informative. I'll start doing some more studies on form and light environment. You're very welcome, Rhiannon, Morrison Naylor. If you're the artist, congratulations on a completed illustration. Congratulations on surviving this ass whoop. And that's it for this critique. So if you guys want to submit your work for Critique Hour, go to istebrak.com. When you go there, there's a bunch of icons up here to help find me. So you can click on Reddit to join us on Reddit, submit your work. That's where I found this artwork today. I went on Reddit and we scrolled down. And these are all 14-day challengers, people perfecting their portraits by doing 14 versions of the same face, 14 days in a row, and getting a critique in order to go on to the next day. And you can submit every single one of these days up here. This is where I found this piece. I'm going this far back because it's been a while since I've done Critique Hour. And to join me as a patron, you can do so if you like today's class. If you learned something, join us as a patron. Help keep this community alive and independent. I want this community to run for a very long time, even after I die. And this definitely helps support me not dying so soon. It actually helps me go to the doctor. So if you guys want to help me help this community, you can join as a patron. Just joining as $1. It's not a lot. If you feel like going through the checkout on Patreon, keeps us independent from YouTube. If they were to ever take down my videos, I do have all the videos backed up. A loyal fan has done so. So if anything ever happens to the channel, don't you worry. I will find somewhere else to add it. But you know, we want to keep the community with a strong spine. And if everybody joined, I would never need to worry about agents or marketing or monetization. This community would just stand on its own. And if everybody joined on Patreon as $1, everybody on Reddit joined to Patreon as $1, I really would never need to announce Patreon ever again. So to shut me up, join as $1 Patreon. And that's it for today. Announcements for upcoming challenges will be uploaded soon. We'll be looking at a lot of environments. One environment that's coming up, it'll be a series of environments you all have to upload, and it'll be bi-weekly. So for a month, every 2 weeks, you upload an environment, color and all, based off the story that has been given on the brief. And that every 2 weeks, a new story for the environment will be uploaded. That is going to be the format I aim for. That might not be how it looks like in the end. So one of them is a character on a boat traveling through a canal in between great cliffs with a low angle camera. It can be any time of day you want. Preferably, we'd like to see a large gradient in the sky, so something very similar to this. That's upcoming. Similar challenges are going to be posted on Patreon, of course, but it's apprenticeship a lot more closely. I work with apprentices. If you want to join as an apprentice, you may do so. You get access to all my brushes, all my personal work, a private critique hour just for patrons, access to the Discord, a really, really close-knit Discord community where you critique each other and do gesture studies together. It's really great community if you guys want to join as a higher tier patron, but you don't have to be a patron to join us on Reddit. But if you want a little bit more of a kick in the butt, accountability, homework due dates, critiques, both from your peers and from me, form studies closely connected to your work, advanced and basic form studies, all skill levels welcome on apprenticeship through Patreon. You can join at patreon.com/Istebrak, I believe. And that's it. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm so happy to be back. And thank you for the stream. Wonderful as always. Thank you, Lu Chan. Someone salty who was calling Istebrak uncle. Please become a patron or Istebrak gonna die, y'all. No, that's not what I was saying. And also Ista sounds healthier and more energetic. I have been on top of my supplements and I have been managing my pain a little bit better. And I've just got over a cold. And I think my immune system is stronger since I started taking a 1 a day. So that's another big thing for you guys. New Year's resolutions, take a 1 a day. You don't have to be 60 years old to take a 1 a day. Write that back to me. Please take your 1 a days. That we're all so depleted and we're all so weak and we're all so sick and we're all so miserable and we don't have what we used to have in our food, and it's a terrible time in the universe, and not really, just in locally, and we need to, you know, keep our bodies healthy and our minds healthy so that we can think better, have stronger thoughts, have less brain fog, and just stay positive. A positive mind, vitamin D3, take your magnesium, take your potassium. It changes, you know, it can possibly, just like the folders that I have here that I've organized, it can change everything. So who knows? Get on top of those supplements, you guys. Everyone I talk to, I recommend supplements 1 a day. My whole life changed. Everything is different. I glow, my skin is cleared up, my bones feel strong. I'm stronger at the gym. I lift heavier. I mean, everything is different. So, and I've only been taking them for like 3 months, 2 months. So, yep. Good luck, everyone. And thank you all for coming. Happy New Year. And onward and upward. Bye, guys.